And what if medical leave was in there? For the sick people. Just a thought.
I mean, we wouldn't have to be going through all this systemic emergent systemic stuff if we had Medicare for all and universal paid family and medical leave. It would just be there.
Yep.
Okay, ladies, you are now live on YouTube.
Okay. Hi, everyone. We are going to be sharing a link with you in just a second. Carrie, will you share that with Jacob so he knows where it is? Anyways, hi, everyone. I'm Brenda Siegal. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor, and I'm here with Mari Cordes. And she is Representative Mari Cordes, and we are going to be talking today about the CrossOver and what made it to CrossOver, and also some legislation updates, but also we have to talk about COVID-19. It's really important. What we're doing, we're practicing social distancing right now. That's why we are having this event in this way. And we're super excited to talk with you all about that. And we also want to talk a little bit about self-care. And for those of you that are helpers out there and are doing a lot of helping, that how important it is for you to take care of yourselves. And I think Mari and I have both been involved in some of that over the weekend and recognize how overwhelming it can be. And we want to sort of just really give people permission to take breaks where they need to. And I'm going to let Mari Cordes introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Representative Mari Cordes. I'm a registered nurse for 31 years in Vermont. Did work at UVM Medical Center this weekend, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I know I'm also a representative for Bristol, Lincoln, Moncton, and Starksboro. And the last week to 10 days of my life has been working at hyperspeed with other legislators to advance policy through the State House to help Vermonters during this crisis. I know we're all concerned, worried, but this is also a really critical time for us to build on the already amazing social cohesion we have here in Vermont that has responded to Tropical Storm Irene in the past and other crises. And I'm reminded of a quote about the hope we can find in situations like this because of the power of solidarity and the power of generosity and the power of being a good neighbor. And that is Joanna Macy saying, if the world is to be healed through human efforts, I am convinced that it will be by ordinary people whose love for this life is even greater than their fear. And I have great evidence now. I can see remotely online that is happening now, and I'm very grateful. And thank you, Brenda, for organizing this.
That was a really beautiful quote. I love to hear it. I think that there's still people that haven't been able to start watching yet. And so I just wanted to let folks know that we're working on that if you are watching, and that Facebook glitched. And that's why we're here right now. And we had that technical difficulty. It seems like because everybody is home, Facebook is moving rather slowly right now and having some problems. And I think Mari experienced that with a group that she's part of administrating on Facebook as well. So we are really excited to maybe start with talking to you about some legislation. And I'll let Mari start if she'd like.
Sure. As I said, I'm just looking for the page I was going to pull up. The House and the Senate both, as well as the state administration, has been working very hard. I'm going to speak from the House point of view, and pardon me, that's Willow, the legislative dog. So normally in a legislative session, the first 2 months or so are busy with committee work, both on the Senate and the House side. I'm in the House Healthcare Committee, so we've been focusing, of course, on healthcare issues, and in the last week, particularly on COVID. So I'm going to focus on that right now. But in order to pass legislation, the bill from each chamber in the State House has to make it to the other side. And that's what CrossOver is about. So if a bill has a hope of making it, a House bill has to get to the Senate for them to work on. And then once the Senate committees review it and vote on it and pass it out of the Senate, there may need to be some back and forth between the House and the Senate about a particular bill. And that happens in conference committees. And then it goes to the governor for signing. So we, in the last week, the leadership with specific votes on the House floor suspended specific rules so that we could expedite the process because this is an emergency. And the bills that we moved forward, I'm going to go through a list now of the bills, the items in bills, the measures that the House passed and moved on to the Senate. And I want you to know also that, so these are not law yet. They've gone to the Senate. The Senate is working remotely this week, the Senate committees. So they are working on these things that we sent to them. And in the meantime, the State House digital folks are working on ways for us, along with the Joint Rules Committee and all the people that need to be involved, should we need to meet as a chamber, not just in committee, but as a full chamber, should we need to meet remotely, we need to have rules in place and the IT to back it up so that we can move these critical bills through the State House. It's really different way of doing things, but all hands are on deck and we're working to make that happen. All right, so here's the list of measures passed by the House last Friday. H742 is one of those bills. And it was originally a bill that I introduced on the floor about EMS services. So we used that bill as a vehicle to include the EMS services, as well as some other items. So we're talking about healthcare provider sustainability now. The Secretary of the Agency of Human Services may modify or postpone payment of all or a prorated portion of a provider tax. I'm going to skip through stuff that's going to be a little too wonky. In order to protect access to healthcare and long-term care services, the agency may authorize advance payments to long-term care providers. There's revised payment methodologies for FQHCs, federally qualified health centers. There's going to be waivers if this passes and the governor signs it, to permit variances to certain rules for providers. And some of these rules that will have waivers or variances are the hospital licensing rule, hospital reporting rule, home health agency designation, adult daycare services, therapeutic community residents, a whole bunch more, public assistance program regulations, foster care, and other rules and standards for which AAS is the Agency of Health Human Services is the adopting authority. So I just want to say right here too, this list is published on my my legislator Facebook page. So don't worry about writing stuff down. It's all written down, and your own representative has a copy of this. So reach out to your representative for this information. The Board of Professional, or the Office of Professional Regulation and the Board of Medical Practice will also have, just for this emergency period, now that the governor has declared an emergency, these measures will only last through this emergency period. So the Office of Professional Regulation and the Board of Medical Practice will have more capacity to, for example, permit retired healthcare professionals to return to the workforce, because as the cases grow exponentially in Vermont and in the surrounding areas, we're going to need a lot more healthcare professionals. I'm just going to make it short because there's so much. The regulation of professionals. We've done a lot of work even before the state of emergency on telehealth and telemedicine, and those there are a lot of psychotherapists and mental health counselors that are asking to be able to do audio only, and we have that is part of one of this bill that we have moved to the Senate, so that people that need to provide services can do it just by telephone. In the past, it's been, those services have only been reimbursable if it's online through telehealth that way. There's a lot of work being done by the Commerce Agency of Commerce and in the legislature. So I'm just going to give you the website for the Agency of Commerce and Community Development that can help with unemployment, FEMA funds for people who are self-employed. The website is accd.vermont, all spelled out, .gov. That's the Agency of Commerce and Community Development, accd.vermont.gov. And the House Commerce Committee did an immense amount of work around unemployment. There's a relaxation, for example, of driver's license and vehicle inspection requirements during the state of emergency. There'll be flexibility and support for businesses, and many of you now know that the governor announced at 2 o'clock today a requirement that bars and sit-down restaurants be closed. Further, there's more support in unemployment insurance, and there is a phone number I can give you for that hotline. I'm going to look for that maybe and give the mic back to Brenda while I look for the unemployment hotline.
Oh, that is really a lot that you guys are doing. So I just want to take a minute and really be grateful for all the work that the legislators are doing and all the people across the state. I think there's also this how can I help prepare Facebook group where people have popped up mutual aid sites and other resources that we're able to get out to people. I know that my campaign put out a mutual aid. You can go to www.brendaforvermont.com and you can sign up because you need help, or you can sign up if you are willing to help. And today what we were doing is we just took the people that had signed up because they need help, because that's not the overwhelming number right now, but it will be coming. And we connected them to people in those communities who had signed up to help, and we gave a direct connection between the volunteers and the people who asked for help, and let them take it from there, because we felt like that was the most streamlined, simple way to do it after a weekend of getting it all organized and organizing the people that signed up by community. And then there's in many of our communities, but not all, there are mutual aid forums and sites so that you can pop into and say that you're willing to help and what you're able to do, or say that you need help and what you need. And I just want to say that there's no shame in needing help. I myself am a teacher, and the school just closed. I'm only teaching a little bit right now, but it is my only income at the moment, and the school closed, and now I don't have that income. And so I'm a little worried, and I think that probably we'll need help at some point. And so I just want to be really clear that there isn't shame in asking for help right now. There are a lot of people who are in need, and I love that our legislators are working so hard on this. And I love that people all across the state are working so hard on this. We really are coming together, but it is a real shame that we have to. And I hope that we continue to come together in such a powerful way when we're beyond this. I do think it makes a difference. The dog is wonderful. And all of you out there that have really jumped in, it's amazing to watch. It's really beautiful to watch. And it means, and I wouldn't say that many hands makes light work is how this is going. It's a lot of work for everybody, but we wouldn't be able to do it if everybody wasn't jumping in right now and doing what they can, however little or big. So it's a huge deal. And it's real to feel isolated at home. So if you feel isolated at home, reach out to people. We're going to be providing today we just talked about with the campaign, we just get our digital operations going, but we're going to be providing a couple of times a week events that are just for fun. They're not campaigning, they're not about issues, they're not going to be, with certain communities, they're going to be like a song swap or events like that that for people being isolated at home, there's some way for them to engage with others around the state. So I don't know if Mari has found her thing yet. I don't want to talk about, okay, great. She has found it. I don't want to talk about other legislation until we've moved past this section about COVID-19. And so I will give you back to Mari.
Great, thank you. So there, just to reiterate, there is a 90-day extension on license renewals. So that's about transportation. And then for people that have questions about unemployment, there are new rules that have created more flexibility about how to apply for unemployment should you get laid off because of the COVID-19 crisis. The hotline or the claimant assistance line is 877-214-3332. 877, that's 877-214-3332. I'm going to say it one more time for the unemployment assistance, 877-214-3332. And then just because my dogs made me think of this as they went barking down the hall. I got a great message from the Animal Hospital of Heinsberg just a little while ago, sharing that there is no evidence that pets are at risk of contracting or transmitting COVID. So continue to stay in good relationship with all of your pets for pet therapy.
Is there other legislation that is not COVID-19 related that made it through that you're excited about or that you wish had made it through and you'd like us to be working on more, Mari? I know that I can start by talking about the legislation that I was excited about this session. The minimum wage bill. Making it through. I think that was a really the compromise that we were able to make, and I believe me, I was there fighting for that and was fighting for 15 by 2024, and I assure you that was really the best we could do at this time. However, it's not the best we can do, and 1255 by 2022 puts us right on the path to get to 15 by 2024 and then on to a livable wage. And I don't think that anything has ever made it more apparent how much in need we are to be for people to have what they need in the first place than this situation right here, because folks living on the margins are going to be in really big trouble right here, and even folks living just over the margins are going to be in really big trouble right now. And so we I think are really seeing a strong example of why we need that to happen. And not just that, but paid family and medical leave. I think we would not be having this problem had in 2018, the governor signed paid family medical leave. And so right now, people would have access to that safety net, and we wouldn't be scrambling to figure out how people are gonna be able to use it. And I think that's and then it happened again that it was vetoed. I think we are seeing right here, right now, how important it is that we have a governor that is willing to pass and sign legislation that makes sure in crises the people of this state are okay. And we're really seeing that. On other legislation, before I go on to other legislation, I'll just let Mari chime in about those two issues, because I think those are issues that have been true. I've been for long before Mari, well, for time before Mari was elected, she was also fighting for these issues as well as I have been for many years.
Thank you, Brenda. And I agree with you 1,000,000%. And it makes me think of a time when our country has faced huge challenges like we are now. And from those challenges, the Great Depression is one, and the world wars, but that nationally, with really strong leadership, we created policy that supported all Americans, not just those at the top. And it's not just a talking point, it's a reality. Ever since the New Deal, which I will say there were many pieces of major policy like the New Deal that did not benefit all of us. It did benefit largely the white system, the white culture. And yet it did provide an economy that worked for most people, and allowed the economy to flourish. So when you invest in the things that you care about, when you invest in community, the New Deal proved that the most people in the United States could flourish. And we have, over the decades, seen that opportunity whittled away, making it worse, especially worse for those that don't have white privilege, to the point now where our country is experiencing the greatest wealth and income inequity that we have experienced in a long time. So policies like minimum wage, policies like universal paid family and medical leave are not new ideas. They're not novel concepts. They're proven methods to help everyone. And like Paul Wellstone said, we all do better when we all do better. So there's an exponential benefit to helping everyone. And like Brenda said, if we had in place already, if we had a year's worth of collecting funds in a paid family and a universal paid family and medical leave insurance program, we would have that support ready for folks today. If we had a publicly funded universal healthcare system, we wouldn't have the stress and the panic about people wondering whether they're going to be able to get tested, whether they're going to be able to afford to get tested or afford to get treated. So we're working our best within a system that's broken, while we're trying to fix the system. So Brenda and I will continue to work to fix the system along with many other people. And I am very happy that we did pass the minimum wage bill, or we got that across. And I'm also excited about the Global Warming Solutions Act, but we can talk about that in a little bit, because right now we're talking about the strictly economic issues.
I want to just say that, I think that sometimes it's really hard to be someone who, I think it's often very hard to be someone who, they're like yourself, does struggle with economically, and then try to stand up for yourself or fight for these issues. And so finding a path by which people who are struggling have access to the legislature, understand us going into their communities, and making sure that that those voices are not just being lifted. Because I really struggle with when people say let's lift people up. Let's rise with people. That's what I feel is really important, because the folks who are struggling know what they need to survive. And so hearing them and hearing people that have lived the experiences of people of color, of people who are economically struggling, of people with substance use disorder, is really important. And I feel all too often when people come in and do tell their stories, they get a thank you for your story, and then we move on and ignore what they said or the policies that they asked for. And so I really want to see us begin to shift that. And that's part of why I'm running, because I think that you have to know how to build a movement inside a community. You have to know how to be on the ground in a community in order to really know how to engage people who maybe don't trust right now the system, and for good reason, because that system has not served the people who are struggling the most for such a long time. Speaking on the Global Warming Solutions Act, we actually have a question, and from, but I think it's Unka Doug is how, Unka Doug. And it says, how have the House and Senate accepted TCI, and how will TCI interact with Global Warming Solutions Act?
I can't hear you, Brenda. I don't know, one of us is cutting out.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Or are we still struggling? Okay, well, until Mari's able to hear again, I'll just chat with you a little bit more about what I'm excited about. What I'm excited about, can you hear me now, Mari? No, okay. What I'm excited about right now is, when you can hear me, let me know.
I can hear you now, but I didn't hear what the question was.
Okay. So the question is, how have the House and Senate accepted TCI, and how will TCI interact with the Global Warming Solutions Act? I understand the Global Warming Solutions Act has crossed over. That was it.
Yeah, so TCI is separate from the Global Warming Solutions Act, and we will only enter into that initiative if the governor signs us up. So I think it's ironic. I can't remember his name, but the Ethan Allen group commented that if Vermont doesn't sign up, we'll still be liable for costs associated with TCI, but we won't be getting any of the revenues that we could apply to investing in true green energy. So we're going to have to communicate with Governor Scott.
Okay, so I don't know if Mari cut out for a minute.
I'm back.
Okay, great.
So what was the last thing you heard?
I heard Governor Scott.
So let's make sure Governor Scott signs us up. I understand the concern that we're working within a capitalist system, and that TCI is just another capitalist tool. An energy expert, a worldwide energy expert, that a well-known one, basically said we need to throw just about every possible tool at this crisis. So I do support TCI, and while we work on moving as quickly as we can, meeting the goals using the Global Warming Solutions Act to meet the goals that we already have in statute and that we're not meeting. So just to recap, they're two separate issues that will work closely with one another to help us attain our goals.
Okay, so so I don't know if that, I hope that answered your question, Doug. And I have another, and I guess I want to say, I was starting to say before when Mari was.
Any other questions on that?
No, I don't see any that have come on that one. I don't know if you can hear me. But yeah, so we are in Vermont where internet is in and out. So I'm sure everybody understands that, and we are working really hard on it. So I think what I wanted to say was that one of the things that has really impressed me is all of our youth and young people coming forward and really fighting, walking, marching, hike, you know, interrupting our legislature, you know, doing the people's work has been really powerful. And I think I just want to, I want to commend people for coming forward and fighting for issues. And I think that's an example of what we're, the Global Warming Solutions Act is an example of what happens when people do rise up. And so I think we can keep moving forward. I think it made a space, it made a breath for that to pass. And we can continue to make those kind of spaces for real change in our state.
I want to also give props to everyone who is rising up, including those who haven't done nonviolent direct action before, or it's been a long time. It's really hard work, and it can be, you can feel sort of hopeless because some of the elected leaders get irritated with you, and they're unable to see the broader picture. And even Democratic or some progressive type elected leaders might say things like, well, you're interrupting the good work that we're trying to do. And if you weren't interrupting us, then we could get it done. That's the goal. That's the goal of nonviolent direct action, is to interrupt business as usual. And I support you in that. You have to be able to raise the alarm and put pressure on us elected leaders. And also it helps those of us that are fighting with you. It helps us know that you're out there and you're in the House, and we need that support to show that, look, the people of Vermont are saying this. If you're worried about your seat, this is what they're asking for. So if you're strictly worried about your political future, then consider that actually you might be helping yourself if you listen to the people. I think that's all I have to say for now. I'm just grateful that Brenda brought that up, and also that actually I know that a lot of Vermont activists are feeling somewhat fed up with elected leaders, and I understand. And the legislative process, the political process takes a long time. It's frustrating for me too. So I'll keep plugging away at that and hope that you'll keep rising up. And one area of my greatest hope for Vermont is the work that's being done locally in community and in towns to bring us to a fully renewable future. Thanks, Brenda.
Thanks, Mari. I mean, I think it's really frustrating sometimes if you're in there and you are really fighting for those changes, to also, especially if you're an activist and that's what you are at heart, then that can be really frustrating. So thank you for doing that work. And I also just, that makes me think about my fight on, and a lot of our fights on opioid policy. And we did have a success in this legislative session so far. H-162, which was to decriminalize buprenorphine, made it out of committee, out of Human Services. I don't know what happened after that because everything kind of got taken over by COVID-19. But I want to say that is a life-saving measure that I called for. It's been happening in Burlington for a long time. It was not my idea first, but I did call for it in the governor's race. And it's in my plan, in the plan that I put forth to heal the opioid epidemic. And now we are calling it an overdose crisis because we're also talking about meth and we're also talking about cocaine and other drugs. And so we really need to start talking about that. But decriminalizing buprenorphine, which there are a lot of access barriers, no matter what we're told, the access barriers are real, whether it's transportation, whether it's not having insurance, whether it's living in a county where there is no hub or no spoke, whether it's that you can't really tolerate going to a hub every morning, that's not going to work for your mental health, whether it's, you have children and you have to go to work at that time, or your kids have to go to school at the time you're supposed to be there. There's a lot of access barriers. And what I want to say is that if you are struggling with opioid use disorder and you have to choose between heroin and buprenorphine, and heroin is almost all laced with fentanyl now, so heroin and with fentanyl, or buprenorphine, which will save your life, I hope you choose buprenorphine. And I'm not afraid to say that because I believe that the people who are struggling with this disease, not only do they matter, but they have so much value to offer in the world. And this bill is going to save lives. And I could not be more thrilled that it got through the committee. It still has to go through the House floor. It still has to go through the Senate. But it gave me a lot of hope to see something move. And I think most people that have watched my fight on this issue since my nephew's death in 2018, just before I ran for governor, have seen that it's a really hard fight for me. It's really hard to walk into your own pain every single day to fight for hope that will not impact the outcome for your family. When we succeed at this and we have real comprehensive change on drug policy, it will not change that my brother and nephew died, but it will keep someone else's brother and nephew and child alive, because there is nothing like burying a loved one, and especially a young person. And I really hope that we continue to move forward. And on that front, there's another bill that I very much don't support that is in the legislature right now, H783. I've never said that a bill that's moving in our legislature is 5-alarm fire bad. I believe I sometimes say 5-alarm fire bad, danger, danger, danger. When I'm talking like the house is burning down, get out. It is a bill that codifies into law a practice that has harmed people for a long time. And I want to go back up and say that bill, as introduced, was actually a really strong bill, and there is a way to create what it does is it creates an exemption from landlord-tenant law that allows recovery homes to evict people immediately, and there is no condition under which they have to evict people in this bill right now. So it's not just because of reoccurrence or relapse, and it allows for zoning. A zoning change that allows us to build more recovery homes, and it allows for certification. So the 2/3 of the bill, the zoning and the certification, I'm fine with, I'm in support of. But the exemption can only be done if we do it safely and if we do it with protection for people who are in recovery. And we have a list, and we can provide that later for folks that want it, of things that need to be in the bill for it to be safe and for us to really be supporting both the landlords and the tenants. But the concept of taking away all the rights for people who are in recovery is just one that I cannot get behind, because I've seen the outcome when we destabilize people who are in recovery, and that outcome is a risk of homelessness, overdose, relapse or reoccurrence, because you're not always being removed for that reason, trafficking, rape. It's really bad. And so we need to cautiously walk into that change. And I'm really excited. And I see that Timothy Burgess asked for me to send him the information, and I absolutely will. So I think that that has not come out of Human Services yet that I know of, and And if it does, and if it gets through the floor, we're going to fight it on the Senate side also. We have to be careful about that. So those are the two bills that I had followed this year, in addition to paid family and medical leave and the Global Warming Solutions Act and minimum wage. So I don't know if Mari has anything to add about, as a nurse, about the overdose crisis. And so I'll pass it on to you.
I will definitely support the buprenorphine bill when that gets to the floor. And I should say it's likely that the crossover deadline is going to be extended because of the COVID crisis. So we may have a little bit more time to get some bills across the floor. I haven't actually looked closely recently at the bill you mentioned that's in the in-house human services, but I will. I understand your concerns. Another bill that I introduced and I'm really excited about is in-house natural resources. And it's a bill that will strengthen Vermont water quality standards. There is currently a loophole that would make it easy to use the federal water 401 water certification process to pass or demand or push interstate, not within the state, but interstate major developments through our wetlands. And because wetlands are mentioned in our the water quality standards, but using surface water criteria, and we know that wetlands are not surface water. So again, that's in House Natural Resources. It will really tighten up our water quality standards to protect wetlands, which we all know are a critical issue around the climate crisis. So please check that out. If you're interested, let Brenda know and I can get you the bill number. I'm spacing out on it right now and I don't have that pulled up. I'm also have to head out soon. And I wanted to make sure that everyone had access to the state legislature is holding, actually this is the House, holding teleconference calls tomorrow and Thursday at 1 p.m. So Tuesday, tomorrow, March 17th, and Thursday, March 19th at 1 p.m. To call in, call 888-475-4499. That's 888-475-4499. The meeting ID number is 344-905-0610. And then press pound twice. Again, the meeting ID is 344-905-0610. And then hit hashtag twice. And this will be updates on the state response to the COVID-19 crisis. Did you get that, Brenda, or you're?
What I was going to ask is if maybe you might send me some of those links, resources, and then I would share them out to folks.
Definitely.
That would be a way that I could do it. And then I wanted to just add that what if, so just on the self-care, before you head out, and after Mari leaves, people can absolutely ask me questions, and I will also get them something I don't have an answer to. She has legislative work to do, and we have to let her do that. But I do want to talk for a second about self-care, if you're willing to do that for a moment before you go, because both of us have been working really hard on some more on the ground responses in terms of the group, and for me, really turning our campaign website into a statewide mutual aid site, which I've had moments of extreme overwhelm because it's a lot, and just recognizing today that we are all not going to make it through this if we do not make sure we take care of ourselves and each other, and that includes the helpers. So when you know someone's helping, I've had more than one person ask me today, how are you doing, Brenda? Is there anything I can do to help you? And I think that that's something that I want to extend to Mari, and I want to extend to anyone who's doing this work, and ask us all to remember to ask the helpers how they're doing, and for us to come up with some tools, dance parties in your kitchen, whatever they are, to really be okay in this moment. So I'll let Mari go on that. Let her talk about that.
It's a critical point, Brenda, and I really appreciate it. I have been getting messages from friends, old and new, that are very gracious and sweet. I appreciate it. And sometimes I and many of us need reminders to take those breaks. And it's so heartening to me to know that I can take those breaks and feel fine about it, because there's so many people pitching in. So it's not about me, it's about us. But we want all of us to be here to work together. So we do need to take care of one another. And before I sign out, you probably already know this, but I want to make sure that all of you out there know that I wholeheartedly endorse Brenda Siegal for Lieutenant Governor of Vermont. I would love to see her energetic self in that office, and I know she'll do a lot of good for all of us here in Vermont with her experience and her skills.
Thanks, Mari. You know, I think one of the reasons that I love you so much as a representative, not just a human, is because if you understand that we all have to rise together, if you understand that it isn't just about me or you, but it's about all of us, that if I'm standing there and I don't know how to step back from a podium and allow someone else to come forward because it might be their story that we need to hear, then we have a possibility of change. But we only have that possibility if we can really, truly understand that it's not about my vision. It's about our vision together. It's about our state together, and making creating a new era in Vermont politics and in Vermont's way of life, in a way that I love. Hey, I grew up here. I love Vermont. I love it so much. And I love so much about it, and that I'm attached to, that I want to stay the same. But we need a political system that speaks to all of us, that works for all of us. We need to be able to elect leaders that don't have access to resources, or and people of color, and people of all different religions. And we need to So I thank you, Mari, so much for coming today. And I know you have a legislative work to do. And when Mari signs off, I'm going to ask you folks that are watching to throw some questions at me, and I'll tell you a little bit about what we need moving forward, both with the COVID-19 response and with the campaign, because we've really put our resources into COVID-19, and we need a little help with the campaign. And so I'll talk to you a little bit about that going forward. So thank you, Mari, for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So that was awesome to have Mari on, Representative. I hope she's still here. That was great. You should have seen. You all should have seen before she actually got on. So anyways. So I see that Steve Butterfield is asking, I missed when the COVID-19 call in is. Tuesday and Thursday at 1. My field director just told me. We're gonna send all of you out some information that Mari gave us today. We're gonna just go ahead and make sure that you have that information. but it is Tuesday and Thursday at 1 that the COVID-19 call is, and I don't have the phone number written down right in front of me, but we will make sure to include it. I don't really know how live YouTube works. I don't tell anyone, but I think we can include it into the description or comments later. And we're also creating a video of this call that will just be embedded or part of our page and our website. And so so you'll be able to see some of that data and information there. Does that help, Steve? I don't know if you hear that, but so anyone else have any questions for me right now? I would love to. Yeah, I'm sorry, Al. The sound is kind of wonky. Sometimes my internet keeps saying this video is unstable, and I keep thinking the whole world is unstable. But the internet, I live in a part of the state where the internet is a little bit hard, and as does Mari, I think we saw. Yeah, yep, okay, that's great. Oh, and he has the number right there, so he put it right in the comments. Thank you, Steve, for adding that number. So let me tell you a little bit, and keep adding your questions and we'll answer them. Let me tell you a little bit about what we need right now. So we started this statewide response. I think Jacob, my field director, will add a comment that gives you the links to our mutual aid. We'll just link you to that website page. It's called just Statewide Mutual Aid. And what we're doing right now, we've gone through several ideations of how we're going to manage it. But what we're doing right now is we are, when we get a need, we're directing that need to a volunteer that has signed up with us. We think that that's really important to do. And so we are doing that. And so I appreciate everyone that has, I don't think you need, I guess so. Sorry, everyone, I got distracted by the field director. So I appreciate everyone that's been doing that with us. Something that we need help with is we need 2 to 3 volunteers who are willing to help just manage that end of it. And it's actually become, we now have it all organized by town. And so when you see a need come in a certain town, you can easily find that town. And if we don't have a town that is willing or able to do it, then I go into the Facebook group and say, hey, we have someone right now, we have someone in St. Albans that needs help and we don't have a volunteer for St. Albans. So can someone help us find one? Other than that, but we need 2 or 3 volunteers as the need is gonna get greater to help connect us, connect people who signed up to the volunteers and so folks can have their needs met. So I hope that you can share what, have you shared it yet?
I think so. I'm not sure.
We think so, but we don't know. Okay, I think you have to, yeah. Okay, there it is. Okay, so the link just went in, and so I'm hoping that you folks can share that, sign up if you can. What we really need, though, is we need 2 or 3 volunteers to work on this, and it would help us be able to resume some of our campaign activity, which is necessary right now also, so we're doing both, including fundraising. And so that's the other piece. We really, I am just someone who thinks it's more important to help than it is to just keep going with a campaign. It's not more important for me to win than it is for the people that need help to get help. So one of the things that's impacted is fundraising, because I dove in to helping people instead of fundraising. So I'm doing call time, sitting on the phone, making phone calls to people, asking them for money, when right now there's people who are losing their jobs, there's families who need all kinds of help, and we need to give that to them. We need to find a way to, as a society, to get that to them, and that's just more important. But that said, we really would love for you to donate right now, even if it's $5. If you're someone who can afford $500, please jump in, donate whatever amount, because I am 100% committed to supporting the efforts to help people right now. And because of that, I'm going to have less time on the phones, and I need your help on this end. So we're going to share the donation link with you right now. And if you're able to donate, do. Believe me, we're not going to leave you behind in terms of supporting you. And we're going to do, and then the last thing is we're going to do a lot of events, and we're going to make sure that we share those with you throughout. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to do some self-care events. We're going to do a song swap, I think. I'm really committed to a song swap. I've been talking about it all day. We're going to do some other like coffee chats. We're going to do issue-based events. We're going to do events that are just for certain areas, maybe Bennington County, Bennington, Windham County, Windham, Brattleboro, whatever, Windsor County. We're gonna go county by county and work on that. So that's another thing we're gonna do. And I'm looking at a comment right now from Mary Gagnon, and she said she might be willing to help in the Hardwick area if she has the technological capabilities. And I will message you, Mary. Thank you so much for offering. That's going to make a huge difference. And yes, I know. So hooray for the song swaps, Mary. And I love the idea of a song swap. So, and then we're really excited about it. Oh, and then another thing that we really need help with that is now our campaign is digital. So this is not a thing that has happened before. This is, or maybe I guess Bloomberg tested it out for us, but he had a lot of money to test it with. And it didn't go well for him, but now we're all doing it. So I guess what we would love is if there are people who have camera equipment, video equipment, microphones, any of that stuff that you want to donate, loan, whatever, we need some support in that way, and that would be considered an in-kind contribution to the campaign and would mean all the world, because I think, as you can see from the way this went, we are catching up on our digital savvy. And I see myself as pretty savvy digitally, but I have been tested today. And so we would love some of that support. So those are the things that we're looking for. Now, I would love it if the people who are watching type in if there are ways you can help, but also please let us know what you need right now in this time and how you're doing, because I do want to hear from all of you about how you're doing right now, and what you're doing right now, and if you've already started isolating, or if you're on your way, or if you're a healthcare provider, or any of that. So please let us know. And what kind of fun events, besides like campaign-related, issue-related, community-related events, what kind of fun events that would create community could our campaign host, so that while we are isolated, we do have community that's created. So please give me some suggestions, because I'm so attached to the song swap, I can't get past it. So I would love for you to give me some suggestions. And I see none coming. I've silenced my. All right. So, and let me know how you're doing. Did anyone in there? Mary? Is Megan still there? I don't know. Steve, anyone, if you guys can let me know how you're doing right now with all of this, I would love to talk with you about that a little. No, I don't know if that's covering anything that's underneath it. No. Okay. We're still getting used to this equipment. Well, oh, you know what else I want to do while I'm here is I really want to thank Progressive Insider, because we were up the creek without a paddle, friends. We did not know Facebook was not working for us. It was glitching, and we were not sure how we were going to deliver this event to you. And Progressive Insider, like, in their own heart, gave us is working with us right now. Carrie Barber is on managing this meeting, and thank you, Carrie. And let me give her a little clap. And we wouldn't have been able to do it without them. And that is how we come together in an issue like this. Okay, and then we have Mary. People in Hardwick area transition towns are starting to talk about having the elder hour of shopping. I think that that's an excellent idea. I really do. I'd be better if it probably wasn't everyone together at once. That's the one thing that worried me when I started hearing about that. Is there some way to still keep it separated so that it wasn't all vulnerable people at one time? But I do agree that that's what needs to start happening. And Steve, I see that you are isolating. How is that going for you? And I am pretty much isolating, and I have been with family. I have been a little bit. I have my son at home, but I have pretty much been isolating because I do think that there are reasons for me to do that as well. 4 days and counting. That is a while. And is it okay? Are you okay? Are there other? I know. I wish we could hear you. Our technical stuff will get better as time goes. Yes. Okay. Good. And do you have any suggestions for people, Steve, who just said he is okay, isolated 4 days and counting? Do you have any suggestions for people who are home alone, who are isolating, in making that be okay for them? In terms of like what self-care, what people are doing to pass their time. I certainly have been so busy that I haven't even, the only thing that I feel is in those moments when I'd really like to leave and I can't, but otherwise I've been so busy that it's hard to even consider that I'm not isolating. So I would love in there. So there's 8 of you on, and Mary, what are you doing now? Are you isolating? Okay, Zoom is a nice interface for meetings, yes. And most stores are doing curbside pickup, says Mary, to some degree or another. We have been isolating, she has been isolating, and okay. And her husband just had chemo. So this is why, I wanna just say something right now. This is why our youth, my son included, who's had a hard time with this, even though you feel invincible, there are people who have just had chemo, who are immunocompromised, who are, you got to wash your hands. You have to, my own father, who isn't that old, like you have to wash your hands. You need to stay away from people. You need to not isolate. You need to isolate as much as you can. It's really, really important because there are people like Mary's husband who this is a real risk for them, and it's really important that we care about the people around us in that way. And I think that's really hard. It's really hard to be isolated. So I completely understand that people don't want to do that, and we just need to find the tools where we can still be together while we are alone, and so that we can make this work. I mean, it was a huge learning curve to stop shaking hands at first, right? I didn't know how to handle that, especially as a candidate. But now I definitely don't touch anybody, and my hands are so dry, and I put lots of lotion on them. But if your hands don't hurt, you haven't washed them enough, I think is what this saying is. Yes, that's great. Mary has a regular schedule to take coffee, song, stretch, and outdoor time, and then go back to work. So that is, I think, a really good suggestion. And I want to thank you guys for participating. There's a few more watching now. What we're talking about right now is what people are doing while they're isolating, what suggestions you might have to us as a campaign to now say that like what can we do to have some social interaction, to host some social interaction with the tools that we have, and we would love for your suggestions, because I have a few, but everybody has different ideas, and we are definitely planning to host some of those, social gatherings, social interactions, but online, remote social interactions, and figure out a new way, not of just campaigning, but of interacting with one another. Are there any ideas from folks? Games? My field director says games. What do you guys think of that? I don't have any. Oh, so I think there's a little bit of a delay. So I just saw myself turn my head on the other computer. So, throw hugs, hug yourself, and then gracefully throw the energy to your loved one as they do the same, like throwing a kiss, says Mary. That's beautiful. That is excellent. And then I felt like Mari offered a wealth of information, and I'm excited to figure out a way to compile that information so that you folks have it. Were folks writing it down and keeping it together? It looked like Steve was. See, it's still delayed right now. Yeah, it's a long lag. So sometimes I'm like, why hasn't anybody responded? But it's because you guys are far behind me, I think, right now. So for a second, I'm just going to introduce you to my field director while we're here. So this is Jacob. We're social distancing, so I'm moving away. Okay.
Hello, how are you? I have thank you so much for hopping on, and I'll probably be in contact with a lot of you, and really thank you for everything that you're doing. So.
Oh, I think that the games, Mary came late to the party. Okay. I asked if folks were writing down what Mari had to say, if it would be helpful to have compiled some of that information, and that was where we were at there. So how have you folks found, there's a lot of us now starting these digital events. How have you found the digital events? What would make them better for you? Recording will be good. Yep, I'm gonna ask Mari for some information written down so that we can get it to you, and we're gonna get this recorded version of the event to you all, for sure. Well, I would love if there's anything else that you folks want to tell us about. I would love for you to tell us about it. And other than that, I think that even though it's a little bit early, I don't want to keep you all on longer than you would like to be. And so please go up, sign up for the mutual aid, go ahead and click on the donation link and make a contribution. And please continue to send me suggestions and the campaign suggestions of events that you'd like to see for social gathering and events that you'd like to see for the campaign to actually you'd like to see for the campaign for events, because we're going to be starting to add all these different events throughout the week, and you're going to be able to join in for what you would like to join in for while you're at home doing your work. Also, if you have needs, please again sign up for the needs. There is no shame in asking for help right now. There are a lot of people that are going to need it, and we want to get it to people before, if possible, before it's in an absolute crisis mode. So Mary said to remind others to turn on their notifications because now she's getting up to speed. because I think that you cannot see the comments if you do not have your notifications on. So I am reminding you to turn on your notifications right now. I guess I want to add that those of you that watched our live stream tests earlier today, thank you for your patience. After that, which was very funny, and if you want to see it, we did share one of them on the campaign page because it was just too funny not to. But you know, after that, I considered coming to this event incognito, and I'll show you what that would have looked like. So that's what we would have been doing because it was so ridiculous that we couldn't figure out how to do it. It was pretty funny. So I appreciate all of you. I think we all need to laugh here and there. I think we all need to really find ways to enjoy this moment and laugh at it. Because one thing I know from having experienced crisis as much as I have is that there has to be humor. Without humor, we won't make it through this. There has to be love, there has to be humor, we have to be willing to jump in and help one another and give love and give support where we can and ask for help where we need it. Because that's what, in times of crisis, that's what we do best. Oh, for all Facebook connecting to these things, we notice when they're happening. Oh, turn on your notifications for Facebook. That's what Mary was talking about. And it is not me, us in action. We must, I think we're really seeing the reason why we have to have this groundswell of humans, of people, regular people making change, because it is clear that when push comes to shove, we're really all needed. That no one person is our savior. It's all of us together that really makes a difference. And reminder, give a thumbs up. I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, he's talking to people. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. We're still getting up to speed on digital. I'm just saying. Al, I always love hearing from you and talking to you. So I guess this is what I'm going to say in closing before we turn this off is thank you all for joining us. I know that it is time to build a movement together. I think that this event of COVID-19 is really showing us how important it is to build that movement, and that there is a movement builder in the State House, someone who really understands that and knows how to connect to regular people who have faced the same things that you all have faced, that we all have faced. And I want to just thank you all for being part of that movement. And I know that we can build together. So if you're able to help out and with the coordination of the COVID-19 response that we're doing, and if you're able to volunteer and make calls for the campaign, for events as we have them, we're going to need both. And I hope that people will sign up to support and help with both so that we can make a big difference. And I want to just say thank you and Jacob will be calling you. So I want to just say thank you all so much for participating, and I will see you again in an event that is going to happen very soon, probably later this week. And soon a song swap, Mary. Soon a song swap. Thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing you all later.